BIONICLE Mask of Light, written by C.A. Hapka, recording by Mr. LegoLover55. Chapter 9. Deep in the Jungle. Deep in the jungle of Toaliwa's home region of Liwahi, a trio of figures wandered slowly, dwarfed by the ancient trees. Takua glanced around from his vantage point on Puku's back. "I hate the jungle," he said. "It's all sticky and..." He paused to slap at something on his neck. "Full of bugs." "How can you say that?" Joller exclaimed. "It's incredible! Geez, is there any place on Motunui where you do feel at home? I don't complain about Takoro, but you wander off every chance you get looking for stories," Joller reminded his friend. "What about your story?" "I don't have a story," Takua insisted with a shrug. "Only 'cause you won't stand still long enough to make one," Joller said. "We all have a destiny, you know." "You know me," Takua said lightly. "Always different." Suddenly, a fierce roar blasted through the jungle. Puku stopped short, trembling. Takua gulped. "Yet another reason I hate the jungle," he whispered. "Go that way, Puku." Puku changed direction. The mask of light, which Joller was still holding, began to fade. "No," Joller said. "The mask says this way. Back on track, Puku." He waited, but the Yusol continued in the new direction. "Puku!" Puku whined nervously. Slowly, she turned back to the original track. The Yusol stepped forward. She blinked as something, a large shape blurred with speed, passed in front of them. Takua didn't notice. "Will you stop with the duty thing and use your head?" he said to Joller. "Or do you want to be jungle snacks?" "Guess I should listen to the real Herald," Joller retorted sarcastically. He smacked himself on the forehead. "No, wait, you weaseled out, so I'm in charge." Puku stopped short as a fierce-looking creature stepped out in front of them. It was an ash bear, all teeth and claws. Takua noticed it. "Fine," he told Joller, his voice shaking slightly as he pointed to the ash bear. "You're doing great so far." The ash bear let out a mighty roar. Takua, Joller, and Puku shrieked in response. Takua and Joller ducked as the ash bear's claws swatted at them. Puku turned and fled, scampering behind a large tree. The ash bear lunged around the tree in pursuit. Puku changed direction, heading back the other way around the tree's trunk. But the ash bear was too quick, blocking their way once more. It swiped at them again, missing by the merest fraction. Its claws met the tree trunk instead, leaving deep gashes in the bark. "Keep him busy," Joller said, grabbing the trunk and starting to climb. "I'm running away and leaving me," Takua finished for him. The ash bear made another lunge, backing Takua and Puku against the tree. Joller swung up onto a branch directly overhead. "Just watch," he called down to his friends. "Toatahu does this!" He jumped out of the tree, right onto the ash bear's broad back, but he'd misjudged his leap and wound up facing the creature's hindquarters. The ash bear turned away from Takua and Puku. It grunted and roared angrily as it leaped and twisted, trying to dislodge Joller. Takua and Puku raced out of range. "Toatahu does that?" Takua muttered, turning to watch as Joller hung on for dear life. "Whoa!" Joller cried, feeling his grasp slip. He had to hold on. If he fell off now... Before he could finish the thought, a sudden gust of wind swirled through the leaves. At the same time, a vine snaked out of the brush, coiling around the ash bear's front foot. The ash bear growled in surprise as another vine followed the first, wrapping around the creature's back feet and looping them together. The vines tightened, and the ash bear was hoisted off the jungle floor. Joller finally lost his grip and crashed to the ground, landing face first. "Oof!" he grunted. A tall green figure dropped down out of the foliage above. "Toaliwa!" Takua cried. He bowed to the Toa, while Joller rolled painfully to a sitting position. Liwa grinned. "Motunui!" he exclaimed to Joller. "Where'd you learn to bear fight like that, little one?" Joller rubbed his sore back. "Right here," he said with a groan. Liwa playfully grabbed Joller, setting him gently on his feet. "Well, I'd say you're a natural brave fire spitter," the Toa said. He released the vines, lowering the ash bear to the ground. The ash bear immediately leaped up and growled. Takua and Jaller stepped back, leaving Liwa alone to face the ash bear. The Toa spoke soothingly to the creature. "Go on now, sister bear." The ash bear hesitated. Then she turned and lumbered off into the jungle. Jaller and Takua were amazed, but now that the ash bear was gone, Liwa had other things on his mind. "Word is Deepwood that you seek the seventh Toa." Takua gestured toward Jaller. "He seeks. I follow. He's the herald. I'm just his biographer." Jaller scowled at Takua, but Liwa didn't notice. "If Toa Liwa helped on your search, might he be a spirit lift?" Takua and Jaller glanced at each other in amazement. The mighty Toa wanted to travel with them? "You?" Takua said. "With us?" "We'd be honored to have you walk with us," Jaller added eagerly. Liwa glanced upward. "Walk?" he said. "Not never. If you ride with me, there'll be no foot walking." There was a whoosh from overhead. A giant, hawk-like gecko bird swooped out of the trees and hovered above them. Liwa grinned at the Tumatoran. "Just air flying," he finished. "Ever wind fly a gecko bird?" Jaller shook his head, his eyes wide, but Takua shrugged. "I've been a second," he said, "but I've never flown one myself." Liwa grabbed Takua and Jaller and tossed them up onto the gecko. They landed sitting right behind the bird's head, with Takua in the front. "Then today's for quick learning," Liwa declared as the Matoran yelped in surprise. "Stay sharp and follow well." He spread his arms, the air katana blades he carried locking into his shoulders. Then he leaped into the air. As the gecko wheeled to follow the Toa, Takua glanced down and noticed Puku watching anxiously from the ground. "Sorry, Puku," he called to her gently. "No room. Go on home." Puku's head dropped sadly. She let out a soft whine as the gecko bird flapped through the treetops and disappeared. Takua and Jaller soon got the hang of following the gecko's movements as it swooshed and glided through the air after Liwa. "Hey, I'm good at this," Takua cried out as the bird dove through a grove of trees. Takua ducked just in time, but Jaller ended up with a mouthful of leaves. He spit them out. "As compared to what?" he asked Takua. The gecko veered again. Nearby, Liwa did an amazing loop-the-loop in midair, then swooped over to glide along beside the bird and its passengers. "Ha!" the Toa exclaimed. "I was so eager to join your search, I forgot I'm not the wayfinder. Herald, do the honors." Jaller raised the mask. It glowed brightly, leading them up through the jungle canopy and over the treetops toward the steep, snow-covered peaks of the Kauai region, where Kopaka's people made their home. Soon they reached a snowy plateau. In the background, sheer cliffs rose into ice-covered peaks. The gecko glided to a landing, stopping abruptly as its feet touched down. Taken by surprise, Takua and Jaller flipped forward over its head, landing face first in the snow. Jaller sat up and glared at Takua. Takua shrugged. "What?" he said. "We're here." Jaller raised the mask of light and spun slowly in place. The mask brightened as he faced a ravine between two snow-capped peaks. "Hey," Jaller said to Takua in surprise as the gecko flew off. "You even kept us on the right path. Not bad for a coley head." He glanced around, looking for Liwa. The Toa was standing at the cliff's edge, looking out over the jungle with an expression of concentration. As Takua and Jaller stepped toward him, they heard the faint sound of tribal drums in the distance. Liwa turned toward them, looking unusually solemn. "The drums of Likoro bring a sorry, bad story," he told them. "Your village has fallen to Rakshi, the Makuta's sons." Jaller could hardly believe his ears. "My village? In trouble?" he cried, stricken. "I should have been there. I must return." "Sorry, Fire Spitter," Liwa said gently. "Past late to help now. The mask most needs you." Jaller turned, shoving the mask into Takua's hands. "Takua will continue in my place." No way," Takua said quickly. "You accepted this duty. I accepted your duty," Jaller shot back. "Stop," Liwa ordered sternly. He stepped between them. "What's this duty quarrel?
We all have a duty to Matanui. No time to infight.
Takua and Jaller exchanged a guilty glance.
I must go be with the Toa, Liwa said. But then I'll go to your village, Jaller. Heart promise.
Jaller bowed to the air Toa.
I can't thank you enough, Toa.
Liwa leaped into the air and glided out of sight. Jaller grabbed the mask back from Takua and headed for the ravine. Takua shrugged and followed. End of Chapter 9.